What is good, YouTube? I said that the Utah Jazz will make the playoffs. They won 50 games. They didn't have Blake Griffin, though. They barely beat the Clippers, even though they was up by a lot this game. They lost game 6. They lost 2 more games. Well, 3 games when Blake Griffin went injured. And Chris Paul pulled him through when he got injured. He pulled him through, forced a game 7. And the Utah Jazz, just like I predicted, I thought the Clippers was going to win, but I didn't know Blake Griffin was going to get injured. But I did say in that video, like I predicted, it's going to be battle of the injuries. Rudy Gobert went down. Blake Griffin went down. And it was just both teams just can't stay healthy. And that's why both teams really wasn't a contender for the championship. But one thing I tell you is I love this Utah team. They can throw a lot of versatility on the court. They can throw a lot of ball handler, George Hill, Joe Johnson, Gordon Hayward. They can throw a ball handler lineups out there, and they can go big with Derek Favors and Gobert, and even Boris Diaw if they want to add a three-point shooter and stretch out the floor. They have a lot of versatility. They have a lot of this Utah team, if they can keep, I know the veterans going to go in the future, but if they can re-sign Gordon Hayward and keep this team together, this team can be scary in the future. The more years they get together, the more they develop together, the more they get better. Because Gobert, he couldn't even pass last year. He wasn't as good at, he couldn't pass. He can dunk and miss some free throws. Now he can actually finish better, he can dunk better, and he can play make out of the pick and roll. Gobert has become one of the most improved players in the league. Gordon Hayward went from being underrated to an all-star. This team has a chance against Golden State. To me, the biggest problem, like they don't even play Alec Burke and stuff like that. They can go deep too because they traded for Diaw. They signed Joe Johnson. They got Dante Exum still. They got Alec Burke, who they don't even play. And they got Ingles off the bench. Like, this team is deep. Rodney Hood, too. Sometimes they can go Ingles, Hood, Joe Johnson in the starting lineup. They can throw out so many matchups and lineups and so much versatility. They can switch on the pick and rolls, switch in general on if they got to switch a lot of pick and rolls. And they can put other long, lanky bodies, too, because you got Joe Johnson, Gordon Hayward, and Rodney Hood, and Dante Exum is 6'6". This Utah team is going to be ridiculous in the future. I kept telling people, don't sleep on the Jazz. I kept telling people the Jazz is going to make it to the playoffs if they can get through their injuries. They still had a lot of injuries this year, but they finally pulled through 150 games, and now they're going, this is the first time they've been together in the playoffs. They actually won their first round matchup, even though they didn't have Blake Griffin, but you still had to you still had to close it out. They got up by 20. They didn't get in a panic mode, even though they had a chance to lose the lead in the fourth quarter. They kept it. They kept playing to their bread and butter. They stayed composed. The veterans are really stepping up, and the youth is actually listening. But I think this is going to be a tough series for Golden State because Utah can throw out those different type of lineups. They can go long. They can go lanky. They can go big inside and tear up Golden State because Golden State, they got Draymond Green at the 4. He's short. Zaza Pachulia not really a threat offensively, and they got Rudy Gobert that can roam the paint, make it tough. But the problem with the Jazz, and I've been saying this, is that they just don't have the offense. And I think with Klay Thompson, Kevin Durant, and Draymond Green, they can really slow this team down and really make them play a pass like they did today. They won't have to keep passing the ball to find somebody to get a shot. And that's really been the biggest hole in this team for the Jazz. Every team has a weakness, and their weakness is just they can't score enough. We know that Golden State can get hot. We know that Golden State can blitz you. We know in one quarter they can blow you out and finish you off for the rest of the game. And the Jazz, my biggest problem is, can they withstand those type of runs? Can they stay in the game? Can they score enough to keep the game close? And if they can't do that, they're going to go home in 6. They might go home in 5, or they might get swept. It all depends on if they can withstand the firepower of Golden State and if they can hang in there offensively enough to slow down the Warriors and score with the Warriors, even though it's impossible, but stay close enough that you can win the close, nitty-gritty games, get a couple steals, get a couple stops, and pull out the game like they did in this Clipper series, but Golden State just a better firepower. Golden State just more athletic. Golden State has better defenders, Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green, Kevin Durant, and Klay Thompson. And that can really slow down Gordon Hayward. That can slow down Joe Johnson. It can slow down George Hill. So I just think this matchup is going to be, rather if they can keep Derek Favors and Gobert on the court, that lineup might not work because you have a player like Draymond Green that can play the stretch four. You might have to run a lot more Boris Diaw at the stretch four so he can bump and bang and contest Draymond Green because he's a little athletic. He's mobile and he's a bulky person. So Draymond Green can't bump him out the way for those layups and those drives to the basket. But Draymond Green's still going to be able to blow past him. But he can play a little physical D. But with that being said, Utah really going to have to rely on their amazing defense. They're going to have to suffocate this team. They're going to have to get up. They're going to have to switch a lot of pick and rolls. They're going to have to try a lot of lineups just to stay with this game because the playoffs is all about a game of adjustments. Every time you see Mike Brown or Steve Kerr, they're going to have to say, okay, this lineup out here, like Quinn Snyder, he hasn't been in these playoff moments. He haven't went against championship teams in the playoffs, and that to me is why this young team is going to lose this series, is because they haven't went against an offense like this for a whole 7 series. They have coaches that can make those adjustments. They have versatility, defensive players too that can also, two-way players basically, defensive player that can also score. And I like this series. I thought the Clippers would have been a better matchup because the Clippers can score like crazy. But Utah, I like how they can move the ball, find some open players, move the ball around, keep the ball in the body moving, find some holes in the defense, and just pick it apart. I've seen that happen a little bit when Portland, they found holes in the defense with Damian and CJ, but they just couldn't score enough, and that's what I'm saying. I just don't think the Utah Jazz can score enough points to beat this Warrior team if both teams can stay healthy. I think that if they can really find out something defensively that they can do to keep the games close, like 5-7 point leads, where they can, in the fourth quarter, just tick-tack, and pull out the games with Gordon Hayward, Joe Johnson, Rudy Gobert, and Derek Favors, and bang, crash the boards, or find something that you can exploit in this matchup to give you, to make up that offense, is really going to have to help them. I think they can bang the boards on them, though, with Derek Favors, Gordon Hayward, and Rudy Gobert. Just crash the boards and beat them up on the inside and just take advantage of Zaza Pachulia being slower than Rudy Gobert. But they're going to really have to find out what they want to do and find out what they want to do quick. Because if you go down 2-0 at Golden State, I'm not picking you to come back in that series. If it was the Clippers, they injury prone, I can see it, but not against a championship team, in a championship team that won the championship, and they only got better this year. And the Golden State Warriors can go deep too in their bench, and they got a lot of versatility in their bench. And on top of that, they got shooters off that bench. They got McGee off that bench. They got Iguodala off that bench. And sometimes they can start Iguodala, and sometimes they can start McGee to be up on Rudy Gobert, to be athletic and stay with them. So I got Golden State winning this series in 6. I think Golden State is going to be too much firepower, but I do like the grit and grind of the Utah Jazz. Like, I like it. Like, Memphis pushed the Golden State Warriors to 6, but this Utah team, they can play the same type of defense, physical, beat you up type of defense, but they also have the three-point shooters in George Hill, Gordon Hayward, Rodney Hood, Joe Johnson, Ingles, that they can spread out the floor and knock down some threes and get to the basket, because they got ball handlers like Joe Johnson, George Hill, and Gordon Hayward. So I like this team. I like this lineup, and we're going to see a lot of Utah versus Golden State in the years to come, because these two teams is going to be dominating the West for a very long time to me. But that's just my opinion. Golden State in 6 to me. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think about the matchups, who going to win the series, who you pick in the series, and how many games they're going to win. And if you like this channel, subscribe. Check out my older videos. Also, like my website on Facebook and subscribe to my website, analysisplayground.com. It'll be in the comment section and in the description below. And also, like on Facebook, analysisplayground.com. That'll be in the comment section and the description below, too. Thank you for watching. Thanks for the support. Love my subscribers. Love the new people. And keep on watching. Quinn Wade Basketball Analysis signing out.